You are Locked On Heat Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Miami on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What is up, Heat fans? Welcome to another episode of your Locked On Heat Postcast. My name is Jim Greasehaber. Call me Grease, and we have got a good show for you tonight as your Miami Heat with an outstanding performance on the road in Utah. No, it wasn't their best shooting game. No, it wasn't their best offensive game by any stretch or by any measure for that matter, but they were able to get the job done, come up with a tough road win, right, against a team that just beat them like a drum at home a few nights ago. So the Heat with another win, they stack it up back-to-back after the dub against the Dubs. They drubbed the Dubs, Golden State, a couple of nights ago, and now they leave Utah with a season split against the Jazz. They've won 3 in a row in that building, and they hand the Jazz their 9th straight home loss. What a great job by Miami's defense. These last couple of games, the defensive intensity, they have cranked it up out of this world. It's been absolutely phenomenal. The defensive intensity has been just off the chain for them. Really great for your Miami Heat. Just fantastic on the defensive end, and it led to a victory tonight. All right, this is your Heat Postcast. Jim Greasehaber. Call me Grease, G-R-I-E-S, at Jim Grease _ on social media. Give me a follow. I make you holla. Having a great time here tonight and looking at that game, the West Coast road trip. The Heat are 2-1 now. You got 3 games left. You got Portland on Saturday, and then the 2 LA teams coming up after that. Clippers, Lakers, I believe, in that order. But 97-92, the final. Tyler Herro and Colin Sexton, the leading scorers. Jaime Jacquez Jr., maybe the best player on the floor tonight. But yeah, man, nice job by the Heat. The energy, the intensity, the hustle, the defense, all those things were there. They wanted this game more tonight. Neither team could shoot, but Miami wanted it more. And in the end, that effort got them the victory. Your Miami Heat with the win, and a big one at that, because remember, a couple of nights ago, they went back to 500. Now they're 2 games over again, moving forward. All right, real quick before we let you know what happened in this game and go deeper with it. Obviously, we're going to hit the box score. We're going to hit the team stats. We're going to look at, hey, we'll give you the turning point of the game. We'll give you the final score graphic and the star of the game. And a little hint, he might be on the screen behind me, or he might not, but I think he really might be, because we're looking at Jaime Jacquez Jr. with a great game tonight for Miami. It's your Heat Postcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's free wherever you get your podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeart, you name it, Stitcher, Podbean, and here on YouTube, Locked On Sports Miami. I, of course, am the handsome, bald gentleman named Jim Greasehaber. Call me Grease, and I will tell you this, and I am a gentleman, but I'll tell you this, okay? Tonight's episode of your Heat Postcast is brought to you by... time is it? A qué hora? It is Game Time. That's right. Tonight's episode brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase with Game Time. What time is it? A qué hora? It is Game Time. And real quick, your favorite podcast now has a newsletter. How about Locked On Heat newsletter? It's daily, too. One stop for ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox every day. Sign up for free now at LockedOnDaily.com. That is LockedOnDaily.com, and start your day with the all-new free Locked On Heat newsletter. And those guys do a great job day in and day out covering the team. Of course, I'm here with the Postcast. New initiatives coming all over the network. We got the Roundtable Dolphin Show making its debut soon, hosted by yours truly. Of course, football season's over, but we got Heat through a bit and basketball season, and then the Marlins coming up here soon as well, and some other things coming your way on the Locked On Podcast Network. Going to be real excited to keep those things coming. And everyone but Colin Sexton had trouble shooting tonight for Utah, and just not a good shooting night. And Utah killed Miami. Remember, they beat them by 36 points last time they played. It was less than a week ago, and the Miami Heat looked awful. That was the first game of Jimmy Butler's suspension. But as I'm looking at this team, as I'm looking at this incarnation, as I'm looking at these bunch of Pat Riley guys, Spo guys running around, Jaquez, you got Burks in his 14th season, you got Haywood Highsmith, you got Nikola. Man, this kid's future is bright. Nikola Jovic, his future is bright. Bam Adebayo, always captain consistency. And man, this team is starting to find its stride, find its identity without Jimmy Z Butler. And I don't know what's going to happen with the trade. Nobody does. You have a lot of speculators out there, and speculation doesn't do anything or even solve anything or give you anything for that matter. You just sit there and you're like, okay, Jimmy wants to go to Phoenix. Okay, well, Jimmy might not be able to go to Phoenix. Bradley Beal would probably have to waive his no trade clause. He would have to waive his no trade clause because he holds all the cards in Phoenix. But, it's interesting, too. A lot of teams want Jimmy Butler. Obviously, a lot of people shooting down interest in Jimmy Butler. And I saw Chris Mad Dog Russo. Shout out to the Mad Dog. And cut off that on everybody. How are you today? It's Mike and the Mad Dog on your fan New York State. So anyway, he's on First Take all the time. And he said what I think a lot of people around the NBA are thinking about Jimmy Z Butler. Like, we're just sick of his crap, man. He wants the extension. I think the Suns might actually give it to him, but I don't know what Jimmy Butler's going to do or where he's going to end up. If it's Phoenix, for Bradley Beal, do you like Bradley Beal coming back when you already have Tyler Herro? Would Tyler have to be a part of that deal? They were going to trade him last year, or the year before even to get as part of a package to get a big-time player. Tyler's becoming a big-time player, but is he ever going to be an elite player? Is he ever going to be an all-star, a star of stars? Maybe an all-star, but what about an all-star of all-stars and a star of stars? Or how about if Jimmy Butler stays in the East and goes to a contender? You got to be careful of these things if you're Miami. And look what happened with Drew Holiday, right? They try to trade him out of the conference, the Bucks, and that turns around and blows up in their face because he gets traded right back to Boston. And yeah, now he's not only in your conference, but on your number one competitor, although the Celtics, I think, head and shoulders above everybody in the East. And I said it, even the Cavs. And look, OKC and Cleveland, those are nice stories. And I think OKC will definitely be at the top in the end, but I don't know if Cleveland will be. I'm not real sold on the Cavs long-term. I've never been sold on Donovan Mitchell as an A-level talent superstar who carries a team through the playoffs toward a championship. I will never be sold on the Spider as that guy until he does it. Until anybody does it, I'm not sold on him, right? Got to stay hydrated. No doubt about that. But the Heat with a big win tonight and so many things to talk about. The game within the game, and both teams shot like crap. I mean, they really did. This was an awful shooting game. And, whenever there's a bad shooting game, the players want to say, oh, the defense was great. And I definitely believe there's a lot to that. But all in all, man, this team just beat the Heat 136-100. And the Heat now, it bears repeating, and I don't think I've said it yet on this show, but it bears repeating anyway, which is the Heat are 10-0 when holding opponents under 100. They're 10-0. I'm going to keep it 100 by telling you the Heat are 10-0 when holding opponents under 100. And that's, a good formula, especially in today's NBA. And what that usually means is teams have a crappy shooting night because it's chuck and duck now in the NBA. Just 3 after 3 after 3. Detroit, Orlando, and Atlanta all lost tonight, Heat fan, which is great for you and Miami because obviously the Heat gain a game on all three of those teams in the standings. And let's take a look here. I don't know why I'm using my Jimmy Z Butler voice. I love my Jimmy Z Butler voice, but let me take a quick peek. Let me take a gander at the standings here while I'm on it. Just they were on one. The Heat are on one right now, and you really love the way they're playing. The one thing about going on the road, and I've said this, I said it yesterday, 2 days ago, when they beat the Dubs, you galvanize, you come together, you mesh as a team. These guys on this team are coming together. They're playing team basketball. And how do you come together when you're struggling? And they were losing those games at home before the road trip and then losing the opener of the road trip and you outplayed Sacramento most of that game. You faded late and you were dead tired in the fourth quarter. In the overtime, the double overtime, no legs left, and the Kings beat you. Then you got a back-to-back against Golden State thinking you're going to have a real hard time with those legs. And guess what happens? No. Nothing. That's right. Nothing happens because your Miami Heat go into Golden State and get the win. And then 2 nights later, they do the same in Utah. Now they head on to Portland with a chance to do it again. Man, how about that Notre Dame Penn State game tonight at Hard Rock? The Irish eyes are smiling. 27-24. 14-1 Notre Dame will play for the national championship. And those scumbags won at our stadium. And I hate Notre Dame, and you should too. And I hope you do. And let's see, where are we at here? Okay, so looking at this game, and And the standings, because they gained a game on Detroit, Orlando, and Atlanta. Yeah, Miami at 19 and 17. All right, they're tied with Indiana. Well, they're percentage points ahead of Indiana. They're a game ahead in the loss column. So you're literally in the 6 hole right now. But Detroit, Atlanta, and Orlando all lost. So Orlando's 22 and 17. Milwaukee's 19 and 16. And then you got Miami 19 and 17. So really it's Milwaukee, Miami, Indiana, Detroit, Atlanta, Chicago, well, not really Chicago, Atlanta. Milwaukee through Atlanta, 19 and 16, 19 and 17, 20 and 18, 19 and 19, 19 and 19. And the Heat have been yo-yoing with that 500 mark as well. You are watching your Heat Postcast. My name is Jim Greasehaber. Call me Grease. Got a chance to listen to our guy David Locke tonight. I love it, man. I'm sitting here watching my guys, Eric Reed and John Crotty, who Crotty does a great job, and Reed's brilliant. Eric Reed's one of the best in the biz. But you know what? It's Locked On Podcast Network. He owns the network. So I gave my guy David Locke a listen on the Utah Jazz Radio Network tonight. He was having some fun talking about old Atari video games and blowing up the dust out of cartridges and saying that no one blew the dust off the players tonight because they couldn't hit a shot. It was pretty good. So they split the season series with Utah. They've won 3 in a row at the Delta Center. They gain a game on Detroit, Orlando, and Atlanta, and they go to 10-0 when holding teams under 100 points. What else happened in this game? I will tell you on the other side of this break. More great deals from our amazing sponsors here on the network. But first things first, Grease, Freaks All the Honeys, Dummies, Playboy Bunnies, those want money. 97-92, the Heat beat the Jazz and all that jazz in Utah tonight, and they go to 19 and 17. This is Heat Postcast on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And what time is it? Dun, 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 dun. It is game time. That's right. I love going to live events. You guys know this. Man, we talk about this all the time here on the show because sports, music, theater, comedy, they get me excited. Life is about people and experiences, and that is what I spend my money on. One of my favorite memories was going to a concert last year. It was actually about a year and a half ago now. It was Metallica. The energy and the excitement were unforgettable, man. I saw Metallica in Arlington. I had seen him in 8th grade. Didn't see him again until I was 49, and they still killed it at almost 60 years old. Point is, you always have a great time at concerts, comedy shows, sporting events, and things like that. And now Game Time's made it even easier for you to get tickets for your favorite events with their new feature, Game Time Picks. It features out all the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets just to get the ones you want. Recently, I was looking for tickets to an upcoming game, Phoenix Suns, and they're a lot easier to get. I was on a trip to Arizona, and you use the Game Time app with Game Time Picks. I find amazing deals, could even see the view from my seat before buying, all sorts of things like that. Particularly impressive, the super deal. Great seats at unbeatable prices. All-in pricing shows you the total cost up front, no surprise fees at checkout, all those things and more, plus Game Time Picks. You take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Game Time. I don't even have to say it. I don't even have to mention it. No. I do not have to mention it. That was pretty dope, actually. Next up, another great sponsor and another opportunity for you. Today's episode brought to you by Rocket RX. If you're ready to boost your confidence and take control in the bedroom, take off like the space shuttle, Rocket RX has the solution. Imagine feeling more prepared and performing at your best. Rocket RX makes it simple and stress-free. Rocket RX offers FDA-approved treatments for erectile dysfunction at a lower cost than branded alternatives. No more uncomfortable doctor visits or pharmacy trips. Everything's delivered straight to your door in discreet, plain packaging. With Rocket RX, you'll get trusted care from a real U.S. clinical team. Complete a quick 100% online consultation, and you could get your free prescription today. That's right. Visit rocketrx.com to get started now. It only takes 2 minutes. Right now, our listeners can get 40% off your first order when you use code LOCKEDONNBA. That's rocketrx.com, code LOCKEDONNBA for 40% off your first order. That's 40% off. Terms and conditions apply. Rocket RX. Better sex made simple. On the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Jim Greasehaber, call me Grease. Beautiful team defense tonight by the Miami Heat holding the Utah Jazz, and we'll get to the team stats. Un momento, por favor. But man, oh man, they did a great job defensively tonight. Now, offensively was not their best shooting game, and they've had some real good shooting games this year. Tonight was not one of them. It was not one of them, as they shot under 40% from the floor, but so did the Utah Jazz. They shot 30% from three. Utah did. Miami shot 28% from three. We'll give you the team numbers in just a minute. And don't forget, still to come, players of the game, turning point, you know what I'm saying, final score graphic, as well as getting you ready for Saturday against the, I almost said Jailblazers. See, you live long enough and you follow sports long enough and you do what I do long enough, you start blending eras. The Jailblazers, remember them when Damon Stoudemire tried to bring weed through an airport in tinfoil? Yeah, they were a smart team, those Blazers. Oh, boy, but they were good. Remember that Game 7 against the Lakers in 2000 when Shaq and Kobe and all those guys had to give everything they had just to survive that Western Conference Finals? And if the Jailblazers won that game, maybe they would have been the NBA champs. And can you imagine if they had won their first one since Bill Walton? Anyway, I digress. The Heat tonight, 23 points for we don't need another hero. But sometimes you do, right? 23 for Tyler. 7 of 17 shooting, 4 of 10 from three, 7 rebounds, and 5 assists. The hustle categories, the stats are packed tonight. The Heat players jacked those statistics way up. It was a great job all the way across the board. And the boards. You see what I did there? How about this? Jaime Jacquez Jr., 7 of 11, 3 of 5 from three, 7 rebounds, 7 assists, 20 points for Jaime Jacquez Jr., his best game as a young second-year pro. Sky is the limit, and you know that you just keep on pressing on. You can have what you want, be what you want, Jaime, and he is on his way. Nikola Jovic, even though he was 2 of 7 from three, has 11 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. Another solid game for that young man off the bench. And then, it gets a little thin. Rozier, 4 for 13, 1 of 8 from three, 9 points. 5 points for Highsmith, 2 of 7, 1 of 6 from three. Yeah, no points for Duncan Robinson, 0 for 5 on threes tonight. Not his best game by any stretch, but Kel'el Ware, 4 of 5 from the floor, 7 rebounds and 8 points for him. How about 7 rebounds for Alec Burks to go along with his 6 points? So 7 for Burks, 7 for Ware, 6 for Jovic to go along with the 5 assists. These are rebounds, by the way. 7 for Jaquez, 7 for Herro, 7 for Bam. So 7, 7, 7, 7, and 6. 4 players with 7, 1 player with 6 rebounds tonight. You had 2 guys with 5 assists, 1 with 7. And you know what? This team, I told you, those deflections, the steals, the hustle categories are stacked tonight with your Miami Heat. Meanwhile, for Utah, 23 points for Lauri Markkanen, but 8 of 24 shooting, 6 of 15 from downtown. How about 15 rebounds for Kessler with 9 points? He had a big game last time in Miami, too. And it was Colin Sexton, 23 points for Utah, 9 of 18 shooting, had a big first half. And Miami was the favorite tonight by 5.5. They won by 5. These odds makers, man, they know what they're doing. So that's your individual stats. Now we look at the team statistics for this game. And the really cool thing about the team statistics for this game is every time I read you the team statistics for Miami, you know exactly whether they won or lost just by the numbers now, because we got you so locked in. And by the way, Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Heat Postcast right here. Jim Greasehaber, call me Grease. Go ahead, give us a subscribe if you wouldn't mind. Hit that bell so you get notified when we bring you more content here on the channel. And then, of course, hop on in the chat and say, what's up? You know what I mean? Right here on this Thursday night, Friday morning, almost Friday morning in the MIAO in Fort Lauderdale. So here you go. Heat Top Jazz on road. Real quick with the team stats before we hit the next break. Miami, 39% shooting. Utah, 39% shooting. Miami only made 14 triples tonight, 11 for Utah. The shooting was abysmal on both sides. Less than 40% from the floor, under 40% from the floor for both teams. 30% and under from three. Utah 30.6, Miami 28% from three. Free throw percentage 73% for Miami. You know what I mean? Just not a good shooting night, but that's proof that in the NBA, it's not all about shooting. It's not all about offense. You hold a team to 92 points more often than not, you gonna win. So Miami 26-20 in the assist category over Utah. They won the steals 10-9. Let's see. Rebounds 49-49. Dead even. Dead even. That's a win for Miami. Anytime they're even on the rebounds, dead even, that's a win for them. Utah had 17 turnovers. Miami 14. Miami 17-7 with the fast break points and the Points in the paint, 42-34 Utah. But again, that's close. When it's that close for Miami, that's a win for them. And of course, the largest lead, 11 for Miami, 10 for Utah in the game. As your Miami Heat go on the road, well, they're on the road, go from Golden State, from San Francisco to Utah, and beat the Jazz 97-92. Jaime Jacquez Jr. with the game of his career so far. Tyler Herro had 23 points, and and then Bam is just solid and steady. And, Bam is the man, right? Bam the man, obviously. We love Bam Adebayo. We love Bam. He's great, and he played with a lot of effort and intensity tonight. Not going to be a huge scorer, we know that, but, man, it is definitely one of those things where you're looking at it like, am I watching this? Am I watching an evolution of an offensive player in the making, or is he always going to be where he is offensively? I've seen a lot of improvement over the last couple of years off the dribble. He's quick, always playing guys much bigger than him, which is why I love the emergence of Kel'el Ware. I've told you a lot here on the show, and we are up against a break. It's your Heat Postcast on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Jim Greasehaber, call me Grease, Gries, at Jim Grease _ on social media. Give us a follow here and a subscribe. Hit that bell. Come on in the chat and say what's up. Miami with the big win, 97-92. Still to come, the stars of the game. Still to come, the turning point, and still to come, the final score graphic. One more thing still to come. A look ahead to Saturday at Portland. Miami back to 2 games over 500, gain a game on Detroit, Orlando, and Atlanta in the standings as they get toward the top of the middle of the pack in the Eastern Conference. And you are looking at a team that is looking very, very positive right now, moving forward. Depending upon what happens with Jimmy, what they get for him if they trade him, the possibilities are infinite right now. You never know what kind of deal Riley could be pulling the strings on LeBron, for all we know. I mean, you never know what Pat Riley, well, he's not pulling the strings on LeBron, but you know what I'm saying. All right, it's break time. Another great offer from another great sponsor. We just spoil you to death here on this show. It's your Heat Postcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. Jim Greasehaber, call me Grease. Wrapping it up. Un momento, por favor. Right after I get the chance to tell you about, Ultimate College Basketball HC. It's a new mobile game. It's brand new. It's a mobile game. It's really dope, right? I'm excited about it. Ultimate Basketball HC. If you've ever dreamed of being a college basketball head coach, this is your chance to step into those shoes. In Ultimate College Basketball HC, you control every detail of your program, from recruiting players and hiring coaching staff to overseeing training camps, handling NIL deals, and managing scholarships. It's all in your hands. You get the chance to see how you would be as a big-time college basketball coach. And when it comes to game time, you get to draw up offensive plays and set your strategies. The way you play won't just affect the current season. It will shape the future of your school's basketball program. It's a game that lets you feel the full weight of what it means to be a head coach and lead your team to glory. And here's a special for Locked On NBA listeners and viewers. This offer right here. Use promo code Locked On CBB, all caps, Locked On CBB, inside the game store to get a free boost for your program. It's the perfect way to kickstart your coaching career. To download Ultimate College Basketball HC, just visit ultimate-cbb.com or look it up on the app stores. Ultimate College Basketball HC. Begin your coaching legacy today. All right, there you have it. And another reminder, your favorite podcast now has a newsletter, as if we don't give you enough already, on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Introducing the Locked On Heat Daily Newsletter, one stop for Ultimate Team Elite coverage delivered right to your inbox. Sign up for free now, LockedOnDaily.com. Get it going. That's LockedOnDaily.com. Start your day with the all-new free Locked On Heat newsletter. All right, Jim Greasehaber, call me Grease. Having a good time with you here tonight. Hope you're enjoying yourself as much as I am. It's always good. I mean, I love it too, and I think you guys know this by now about me, and it's the NBA, man. Whenever you see a defensive effort like Miami put forth tonight, that's what it's all about. That is what it is all about, the defensive effort for Miami tonight. Just a great, great job all the way across the board. The hustle points were there. The rebounding was there. The defense was there. They harassed the Jazz, got stops all night on Utah. Fantastic job by your Miami Heat. And I've talked about this, and I want to do more of this right now. And I'm trying to figure out, let's see, where are we at here? Okay, so I want to do more of this. I want to talk about the defense, and I want to talk about the way this team is coming together, the ball movement on offense. Just because the shots weren't going down doesn't mean they didn't play good offense. You know, you can play good offense and not score. You can execute. You can look crisp. You can get the shots you want. You can move the ball all over the place like they did, and it just won't drop for you some nights. But that, you know, obviously that changes maybe even the next game out, and you're just sitting there and everything drops. But the way they move the ball, they're making the extra pass. They're hitting the open man, heads up all the time on swivels. They're diving all over the floor for loose balls, deflections everywhere. They fill passing lanes as good as any team in the NBA. The hustle's there. Jaime Jacquez Jr. becoming one of the best dribble drivers at his position in, I don't want to say in the league. I don't want to get too carried away. You know what I'm saying? I definitely don't want to get too carried away there. But he is becoming an elite dribble driver. I mean, I don't think I'm out of turn there saying that. You guys agree? Let me know in the chat. Do you think Jaime Jacquez Jr. is an elite dribble driver? Because if you don't, we need to talk about your basketball knowledge, first of all. But second of all, man, he had a big game tonight. And Jaime Jacquez Jr. is absolutely on the upswing. Jovic is on the upswing, playing with incredible confidence right now. I love watching what Jovic is doing with the passing right now. I mean, he is just literally, what a great passer he's becoming. A great passer he's becoming. And I really enjoy watching him play. I really enjoy watching the development of these younger guys. And then a guy like Alec Burks, who's been in the league forever. And even on a night when Duncan Robinson goes 0 for 5, you know, I mean, and Highsmith's 1 for 6 from 3, and just not a good shooting night for Bam, especially early. Rozier, man, if they could get him going somehow, that would be awesome. If they could get Terry going somehow. And I don't know how they're going to do that, but they got to get him going. He was averaging 24 a game when they brought him in. He was averaging 24 a game when they brought him in. And I just don't understand what happened there. He's incredible in terms of his rebounding and the way that he gets to the hoop for such a small guy. Reminds you a lot of Kyrie Irving, how he is able to create offense and get shots off in traffic as a little guy, you know, in the NBA, relatively speaking, right? Little guy. But man, you know, just interesting. And, you know, the Miami Heat with a great second quarter tonight. It just was really a brilliant second quarter for Miami tonight. And that was really something that set the tone. And that, you know, that hasn't been a good quarter for them. They haven't been real consistent. But you hold a team to 14 points in a quarter, man, that is some solid defense. And you can't ever go wrong doing that. You can't ever go wrong. I mean, the defense for Miami has been absolutely fantastic. They were all over Utah all night long, harassing them to death, not letting them get anything going. You know what I mean? And just really fantastic team defense. Fantastic team defense all over the place. And you can see with this team, you can just see the identity. And that's the identity they always want, right? The identity of the Miami Heat is defense. The Miami Heat play defense, and they rebound, and they hustle, and they beat you that way. And, you know, I mean, it's something I'm going to show you in a minute in the turning point. It's a Kel'el Ware block on defense, but he's a big part of it too at 7-1 in the middle, and a great job night in and night out as he's been getting better and better. And the offensive efficiency has been great. He was 4 for 5 from the floor again tonight and playing some tremendous defense, long and lean and just, you know, clogging those passing lanes, but getting those arms up and bothering shots all over the place and, you know, really kind of freeing Bam even more, which is nice for Bam too. And you have to really believe, you know, moving forward that this defense, this identity, and Jimmy Butler fits perfectly into this type of team. It's his type of team. He's a leader of this team, right? I mean, so obviously Jimmy is, you know, he's missed by not being there, but his impact and his influence is still without a doubt felt on your Miami Heat. All right, Jim Greashauber, call me Grease. Heat Postcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day, going to get to the player of the game, star of the game, and the turning point here in just a second. Just going to throw those up here for you, but I just am real quick want to go through the recap and make sure that I got everything here good for you. About to Yeah, there we go. We're hitting toward the end of the show here. But, man, Tyler Herro, 23 points. Jaime Jacquez Jr. with 20. Oh, man, 5 in the final, 103. He hit his 2 free throws to seal the deal. He hit a corner 3, then he hit the 2 free throws. Remember the other night, he missed the 2 in Sacramento? Oh, man, could have probably sealed that game, right? Well, not tonight for Jacquez Jr. 5-point win for Miami, 31 combined turnovers, both teams shooting under 40%. Miami transition points, the hustle plays when they mattered, and they beat the Utah Jazz, who were without 6 players who are injured. Jordan Clarkson, John Collins, Keontae George, Bryce Sensabaugh, who just had 34 points against them in Miami, and he scored 61 points in Miami and Orlando combined. He was sick and was out tonight. No Kevin Love, no Jimmy Butler, you know what I'm saying? And, Jimmy had an emotional meeting with his teammates, and that's something Jovic said to the media. So maybe before the trip, not really sure about that. But Miami lost by 36 points to this team a few days ago, and Utah's really terrible at home. They're 2-13 at home. They've lost 10 in a row there, or 9 in a row there. Miami 10-0 and holding teams under 100 points after the game tonight. But, man, just 17 turnovers for Utah tonight. They got real aggressive down the stretch. You know, they cut the lead to 2, but the Heat won the jump ball when it was 90-88, and Jaquez made that 3-pointer from the corner with 103 to put him up, and then he got fouled and made the 2, and made it a 2-possession game, and that was all she wrote. Doc say it's a wrap. It's a wrap. 70 straight games, by the way, for Tyler Herro with a 3-pointer. His honorable mention, we didn't make any of the graphics for him tonight, and I probably should have, because 70 games in a row with a triple for Tyler, that breaks Duncan Robinson's record that Tyler had tied. It breaks that record, and that was set in 2021 by Duncan Robinson, the Dunkmeister. The Heat are in Portland on Saturday. Oh, the Jazz play at Phoenix on Saturday afternoon. I wonder what's going to happen with Jimmy B and Bradley B. What's going to happen with Jimmy Butler and Bradley Beal? Where are those guys going to end up? Who's Jimmy Butler going to get traded for if he gets traded? All kinds of things going on in the Heativerse right now. I mean, literally all kinds of things going on in the Heativerse. And why not? Everything's in a verse right now. The Heativerse, your Miami Heat. But the most important thing going on in your Heativerse is that the Heat have won 2 in a row. They're back 2 games above 500. They gain a game tonight on Detroit, Atlanta, who are behind them, and Orlando, who's ahead of them by a couple games in the Eastern Conference. And that's never a bad thing when you start gaining ground on the teams that are ahead of you in the standings. And Miami did that the last couple of nights. Last couple of wins for them, and a beautiful job at Golden State. And then again tonight, just with the defense. And we've said it, it's not the offense. It wasn't anything to do with the offense. It wasn't the shooting. It wasn't anything there. Nothing. But, man, it's they made it tough on themselves by not shooting well. But when you play with the type of effort and intensity that they played with on defense, when you're deflecting everything and harassing everything, altering every shot, I mean, wow, it is absolutely incredible to watch. And we're talking about with the rotations, with everything. Switches, switching pick and rolls. I mean, this team has really gotten good defensively. They have a lot of length, a lot of athleticism. Guys like Jovic and Jaquez can switch onto almost anybody. They're long. They bother the crap out of everyone with those long arms and the physicality, especially from Jaquez Jr. I really love his game. Remember, he said to Spoelstra when the Heat took him, he said, you're going to have to. Coach, you're going to have to play me more. You're going to have to give me more opportunities. You're not going to have a choice. And, that's the way that the ball has bounced for Jaquez Jr. Don't forget Locked On Heat every day. Those guys do an amazing job. And then, of course, you have the Locked On Heat newsletter, Locked On NBA. And, day in and day out, you everydayers know this. And if you're new, welcome. Please give us a subscribe and hit the bell so you know when we're coming your way with more content. And, of course, come on in and say what up in the chat. All right, here we go. Let's wrap it up with the elements that we love to do here on the show. First things first, we got the final score, 97-92. Look at that Heat defense just harassing Utah. Jaquez, and that is Kel'el Ware in there with him, and Tyler Herro just – it looked like there were 7 guys on the floor for Miami tonight at times on defense, and I'm sure the Jazz felt that way. But 97-92, the final, the turning point of the game. Dun, dun, dun. These are the moments. Heat outscored the Jazz 26-14 in the second quarter. The reason I chose this as the turning point is, A, that the Heat have not been a good second quarter team for the most part of this year. First quarter and third quarter, they've been amazing. Second and fourth, not as great. And obviously, and it varies from game to game, but the second quarter was fantastic tonight. But that was when they really cranked up the defensive intensity in the second quarter. They got a little bit going offensively as well, but man, their defense in that second quarter was absolutely incredible after they gave up 27 points in the first and were down 7 at that break. Third quarter, same thing. The Jazz outscored them by 7, but in the second quarter is when the Heat really took control. But in the fourth quarter, outscoring Utah by 7 to win the game by 5. And yeah, nice job by Miami. So that was the moment. And then we have the star of our show. Are you ready? I believe this is his first one. The first time I am presenting the star of the game to none other than the second round draft pick from UCLA from a year ago, Jaime Jacquez Jr. What an incredible night for Jaime. What did he do, you ask? Against the Utah front line that decimated the Heat a few games ago. I mean, we're talking about, and again, Kessler had 15 rebounds tonight, Markkanen, just big, long, 6'10 and up, right? All of them. Well, Jacquez Jr. in the starting lineup again, right? 7 for 11 from the floor, 3 for 5 from 3, 20 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists, 5 steals, all right? And 5 points in the last minute, 3 seconds of the game to seal the deal for Jaime Jacquez Jr., your star of the game tonight. Heat Postcast on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And you get another look at my handsome face before we wrap the show. That's debatable, but I'm debating myself. No one else can say anything. So I win the debate, and my face is handsome. See how that works? It's all about the audience of one in this case. But not you guys, obviously, right there. But, you know, it's great having you here. Appreciate you night in and night out being here as the audience grows with Locked On Heat and the Heat Postcast and all the Miami teams, all the other teams across the country, the leagues. Locked On Podcast Network, here to stay, getting bigger every single day, and we owe it all to you. Thank you so much for being here. You everydayers, newbies as well, welcome aboard. 97-92 Miami. They go to 19-17 at Portland on Saturday. We'll be here right after that game with your Heat Postcast. Until then, Heat fans, I want to remind you how grateful I am for you. Thank you so much for being here and for being the best part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Until Saturday when the Heat play in Portland, I'm Jim Greasehaber. Call me Grease at Jim Grease _ on social media, reminding you to always keep your game tight